The Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula and the leadership at the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa, PRASA, will face public finance watchdog Scopa today. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts is visiting vandalized train stations. It's expected to grill the minister and board on the lack of services. For more on this, let's go live now to eNCA's Govan Whittles. So, Govan, it's day 2 of this oversight process by Scopa over the entity PRASA. I see you are in a space that's quite overgrown. It's looking chaotic behind you. I imagine that there's a story and there's a reason why you are there that speaks to the state of our rail infrastructure.
It does indeed. We're at the Cross-Venner station here next to the Langlaagte station close to Mayfair. And the train doesn't stop here, but the reason we're here is because the Scopa members actually went to visit the Langlaagte station first, and then they decided, no, let's go to the next one and do an unannounced visit. And this is what they found at the site of the unannounced visit. PRASA, the Department of Transport, didn't get a chance to clear up these platforms, and this gives a more accurate picture of the state of rail infrastructure in Gauteng. We've made our way from Naledi. We're heading to Park Station, but the train doesn't stop here at Cross-Venner. It doesn't stop in Mayfair either. That's because the platforms just aren't suitable for use. It stops at Langlaagte, but that's the last one before Park. And as you can see, things are in a really bad state here. Not only have some of these trenches been dug to steal the cables, the overhead cables are also gone. And it's clear that there's a lot of work that'll need to be done to restore this. Let's speak to one of the Scopa members, Benedicta van Minnen. We spoke yesterday, and you've been taking a look at what the state of the infrastructure is, but more especially taking a look at this station. And this is supposed to service people coming from far and wide into the city of Johannesburg. What do you think?
Well, I mean, this station is completely trashed. They're not using it. They're not able to use it. The cables have been dug out. What's very worrying is the overhead cables have been removed, which means you can't run the electric trains along the line at all. So what PRASA is doing is they're running diesel trains along here, which doesn't need the electrics. So the whole place is utterly decimated, and it's been stripped. And it certainly isn't something that will be able to be reinstated anytime soon. And at the end of the day, it's the people here in the communities that suffer who aren't able to actually access work opportunities.
Right, you guys came to see the Langlaagte station. This is an unannounced visit to this station. Do you think you're able to see the full picture of what's going on here, or you think your tour is choreographed in a way?
Well, I think they're certainly taking us to the stations that are functional. There also are indications of a big cleanup having happened relatively recently, like yesterday and this morning. Stations like this are what we really need to come and see, because now we actually see the real state of a great deal of these stations. Instead of the ones that they are managing to keep going, we're now seeing what's really happening with this line, and it's very worrying indeed.
All right, thank you so much. Benedicta van Minnen, member of Scopa. She'll obviously be questioning some of those board members and the minister later. The minister's meeting is virtual, but those board members will be meeting with them at the PRASA offices at Park Station. And what's interesting to note here, Tulasiziwe, is that the Scopa members are conducting an oversight of PRASA's infrastructure, but they're traveling around the province using combis because the rail infrastructure is not reliable. And though they wanted to see it via the trains, they simply wouldn't be able to make some of their commitments if they had to be reliant on public transport. So from here, we'll head to Park Station. They'll do another walkabout, and then that crucial meeting with the board will begin.
Govan, it's astounding. I mean, when we started our conversation, I thought where you were standing, the place that's so overgrown, could be an area that's adjacent to a station. I didn't realize that this is meant to be a platform. I wonder if you are able to just show us a wider shot and just give us a sense of, ordinarily, if this was a working platform where the train would be coming from and where the passengers would be standing. The overgrowth there is almost as high as you are standing there, Govan.
Yeah, it's actually higher than what, as tall as I am. We had to find some bushes that are actually shorter than what I am. And I'll ask camera operator Mohammed to show you some of the damage that's been caused to the platform. So you're seeing overgrown areas of the platform, but these trenches with the gravel right above the tar, also very important. They've dug up the tar there to get the cabling that's underneath the trenches on the platform. And you can see that the platform is in no state to be used, and if you would have a look towards your right, you would see some of the entrances to the platforms have been burnt out, clearly being used as some sort of shelter during the night. And should mention that when we arrived here, because this is an unannounced visit, the entrance to this platform had not been cleared by PRASA, and so there was a lot of surprise, a lot of dirt and filth, and clearly evidence of people staying in the entranceways, in the corridors that lead out to the main roads overnight. So this is not being used by PRASA or commuters, but it does appear to be a refuge for some people during the night. This part of the city is also notorious for crime happening late at night, particularly people walking through the station corridors to get to a different part of town. And you can see that the PRASA and the Scopa members have now left the area, and it looks like some of the guys that usually stay around here are starting to return. They were obviously very surprised when they saw the MPs here as well as PRASA. It's clear that PRASA has not been looking after the station till when the infrastructure is in a very bad state. But what's also clear is that the security that they say they've jacked up has not extended to areas where a lot of the damage has already been done. It looks more like a case of them leaving what they can't protect and trying to focus on the assets that haven't been stripped yet.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that, Govan. Let's leave it there. I could have continued, but you do need to catch up with the rest of the delegation as they make their way to Park Station. There you have it there. Govan Whittles reporting there from one of the stations. It seems the members of Scopa, after having seen the impressive stations that have been refurbished, Mabopane, the people's trains that are starting to run, and getting an explanation for those two that collided onto each other while a technical fault was being attended to, they decided that actually let's flip the script on these people from PRASA. Let's go to a station